All right, so today we're going to talk about content, specifically camera mounts, camera setups, editing, and how to create content. You know, in the world of fishing, catching the fish is really the smallest part when you look at it as a business. Not a lot of people are keeping up with, who's finishing in the top 10 in tournaments or whatever, and who their sponsors are, and what products they use necessarily. Sure, if you get a big win and you gotta go on the podcast circuit, you're gonna hear what they use and they're gonna have a chance to highlight those companies. But overall, throughout the year, you have to be promoting the products that you use and the companies that you work with. That is completely on the angler to do that, and you do that by telling stories and generating content. You can do it, via YouTube, making videos. That is pretty time consuming, and investment versus reward. YouTube is not quite my favorite platform. I don't really mess with YouTube myself. I am forcing myself to record, all my tournaments and stuff now. And I'll show you my setup for how I do that, but more so still shots. And you can be fishing with buddies and have them take some pictures for you, or if you fish alone quite a bit, you can use some of the camera arms and things I'm going to show you later to really generate that content yourself. The cameras now are so good, you can really just leave it running, recording 100% of the time, and pull really high quality still shots out of it. So I'm going to give you some examples of pictures that I've taken. I want to go over some different lighting options with you, and really try to break down what you need to start out getting yourself off the ground and comfortable taking these pictures. One of the things that happened this year, two of my good friends, Mark Pendergraph and Jordan Marshall, won two of the biggest probably career achievements that anyone could accomplish in kayak fishing. Mark, of course, won the Bassmasters' first ever national championship on Possum Kingdom, got to go on the classic stage. It was a huge moment. And then Jordan Marshall won the Hobie Angler of the Year title. And again, huge accomplishment. Fished his butt off all year and put it together and was able to achieve that. And kind of one of the common threads that both of these guys kind of experience is they won these huge things, and companies weren't running, knocking down their doors, throwing sponsorship deals at them. One of the things that you have to understand is those companies are looking for reach. They're looking for advertisement, and your personal reach doesn't have to be massive, but the quality of content that you give them that they can use in their marketing departments on their social media, that's something that you can control, and that's something that these companies definitely see value in. So I called Marshall up. I said, meet me at the French Broad. We'll go out and I'll give you some pointers on content creation, and also, help get you comfortable in front of the camera and, kind of work on some things, how to highlight products and how to make in your own videos.
I really like throwing these Strike King Rage Bugs wherever I go. It creates a lot of water displacement by these two tails right here, all these little appendages. And I like to keep all those, going. I like flipping that on a Texas rig a lot of the times when I'm out of town, and flipping laydowns and stuff. And I do the same thing when the river's low and very clear. So when you got low current and there's not a lot of current, a lot of times on these shoals like this, there'll be kind of a bump in the water for the current, and they'll set up on the fronts of these shoals, and they'll basically sit there, and just there'll be a little pocket of slack water right in front of it, and those fish will basically just school up right there and just basically trying to pick off whatever's coming to them.
What is the best tool that you have at your disposal? Your cell phone. None of us fish kayak tournaments without a cell phone. You have it with you all the time. Most of the modern cell phones, the latest and greatest, they have multiple lenses on them. So when you open your camera, you'll see like 0.5, 1, and 2x. So those are the zoom levels on your cell phone. And I encourage you to play around with these, set a reel on a table and take pictures with each one of those. That 0.5 can give you a really cool look. Let's say you're taking a up-close picture with a bait in a fish's mouth. Use that 0.5, get your phone really close, and the way that it distorts that image, it gives you a really cool look. 2x, if you're taking a picture of, you know, your friend's fish, or if you're doing a slow-mo video of them lifting it out of the water or whatever, you have a lot of tools right here in your hand. If you're fishing by yourself and you don't have a GoPro yet, and you know you don't have everything rigged up, or let's say you forgot it or the battery's dead, this right here is a great accessory to have on your kayak. This is a Ram X grip. You just clip your phone right in here. You can mount it on an H-rail, on a gear track, whatever. Have the forward-facing camera, set a 10-second timer, and you can kind of play with that, the angles, the fish, the bait, the net, whatever, and really get a few images that you can use down the road. I encourage you to do more than just like the grip and grin hero shot type stuff. Set that timer, you know, take a few shots of you, you know, taking the bait out of the fish's mouth, or you know, getting the fish out of the net. Something that's a little more candid than just, you know, kind of cheese looking straight at the camera. So lighting is another aspect that you can kind of use to your advantage. Obviously, the more light that is facing you, the more detail you're going to be able to pick up from these images. But a lot of times we're on the water and it's really harsh light. It may be high noon in the summer. Try to find like a shaded bank or shady area to take your pictures. That's going to keep your exposure from being blown out. If it's, you know, light coming up in the morning, or last light in the afternoon, you have an opportunity to get some really cool backlit shots. To where you could get the sun maybe positioned behind the fish or behind the bait, or you know, on the edge of your hat brim or something. That'll give you a really cool look. Those are not the best for like if you're trying to feature a bait or feature a specific rod, reel, or whatever, because again, you lose that detail by not having the light on the product. I'm going to tell you a few parameters that I like to adjust on pictures, and then I'll show you a couple of examples of this. Contrast, I manipulate the contrast just about all the time. Exposure, depending on the lighting, I'll go usually down in exposure. A lot of times cell phones or even GoPros will overexpose your photos, so I'll take that exposure down. You can mess with the saturation a little bit, and one of the coolest things is if you download any app on your phone that has a brush feature. If you can brush the exposure down, and sometimes even the saturation down around the subject. I took a really good photo of Edwin in the TOC, and what I did was brush down the exposure and down the saturation. There was a bridge behind him, and then I kind of, you know, went up on the exposure a little bit, and it really made him and the boat kind of pop out of that picture. That's one of the tricks. I'm sure some of the professional photographer guys will not like me sharing that, but that's how they create a lot of their images, is by using exposure and saturation. They highlight what they want to draw the eye to, and that's what you can do, you know, from your cell phone to kind of create better images that you can put out and then share with these companies. So on the video editing, you know, running a video all the time, you want to get multiple angles. Just like this video I'm shooting now. I have my Sony camera on a tripod, and I have a GoPro running off to the side, so I'm getting two different angles. It's the same deal when you're fishing. If you can get multiple angles, that's really going to kind of give your video a more dynamic feel. So you're getting, you know, kind of a different point of view of you landing that fish or a hook set or whatever. I go through kind of a few different angles on my boat where you could mount cameras. All right, so I'm going to show you how I set up my tournament rig for a day on the water. Okay, so what I use for powering my GoPro all day is this 3BR Power Sports external battery housing. What it does is it gives you a waterproof housing, and then you have this cable that plugs into a USB port. For that, you have a couple options. You can have your boat pre-wired with USB ports installed where you want to plug them in, or I highly suggest this, Dakota Lithium 10 amp hour power box. It has two USB plug-ins on the top here, so you can potentially run two cameras. I usually just run one, either front or back, and then I have another one that is powered with an external battery pack as well. One thing that I tried this year at the Pickwick Lake Hobie tournament was I mounted a camera on the gear track of my Pro Angler vertically in front of me. And I really like this projection. You know, you can really capture your hooks and facial expressions from a frontal projection. It's also great for those grip and grin hero shots. When I'm fishing a tournament, I run my camera continuously with that external power. I have a 256 gig card and I just let it run, and I'm shooting 4K 60p. That way I can get great screen capture. So even if it's live, you can pull great screen captures out of that. So for my over-the-shoulder mount, I have this ram mount, and it has a couple different joints in it. It's also mounted on a ram ball down here on the H-rail. What this gives me the ability to do is I can have it over the shoulder running the entire time for my tournament, but when I want to bring it around and maybe get like a slow motion lifting out of the net or a side view shot, I can just loosen the ram ball, swing it wherever I want to and position it, and it'll stay there for the most part. So again, your camera mounts are kind of key on what kind of content you can get out of it. I really like the ram mounts, super sturdy, and now with the Hero 9 and Hero 10 GoPros, they have a hyper smooth stabilization. So even if the ram mount's bouncing around, you can't even tell on the GoPro. And the one thing that anyone trying to create good content should have in kayak fishing is definitely the Calco's Fishing Donkey Leash. This gives you the opportunity, once you get that fish in the boat, clip it on its lips, it's secure. I've had, you know, 6.5, 7 pound smallmouth on this thing, 8 pound largemouth. I've never lost one on it. I hope that I don't. But this is a great tool to have, again, to put that fish back in the water, keep it healthy while you get all your camera equipment set up, and make sure you get the shot that you need. Okay, so this is a great way to get that frontal shot, and it's also really good for like net shots. So when you're swinging the fish up onto the hatch of the boat or whatever, you can get any kind of GoPro mount like jaw system here and just clamp it right on the front handle of the Hobie. Again, you can run external power with a 3BR box and have the battery stored in your hatch, or you can get one of the larger housings that is an actual external battery pack in itself. So visit the Dugout Bait and Tackle in Marietta, Georgia. They can pre-wire your kayak with USB ports. They have Dakota lithium power boxes in stock, and they also have all the camera and rigging accessories you'll need. I know it's a big upfront investment. The bigger investment is going to come in time on the back end, because it takes time to edit these videos. You can use the Adobe products, or if you have a Mac, you can use Final Cut Pro. I have an Asus Predator that I use with my Adobe products. I have the Adobe suite, so Photoshop and then the video software. And then I have a smaller MacBook that I have Final Cut Pro on. So if I'm traveling or if I'm trying to do like a quick rough edit, I'll use that MacBook. Pick one, learn it, get comfortable with it. You know, it'll take months. This is not like flip the switch and you're gonna know how to do this stuff. But you know, take your time, learn this stuff, and it'll become a lot more natural. The key to growing any social media platform and even creating content and getting better and better is consistency. You want to consistently do it. So every time you're out, you catch a good fish, you know, the lighting's right, you're just having a great day, use this X grip, get 5 or 10 shots, take your GoPro, move it around some, you know, turn that mount around, get yourself as much content as you can each time you're on the water. That way you'll have plenty to put out. You know, let's say you don't fish for 3 or 4 weeks, but you have a stockpile of media that you can put out. What I like to do is put it all in a folder on my phone, and then as I use it, I delete it. That way you're never posting the same thing kind of redundantly over and over again. I hope this stuff helps give you guys an idea of where to start and then what direction to go. I know that your sponsors are going to appreciate it, and let's say you're just starting out and you don't have a sponsor, or you don't have a company that you're already working with. Start putting out some quality content, tag them as much as possible. They will notice. They will notice. Their social media manager will notice. They'll reach out to you. I mean, that's how you create these opportunities. Nobody's going to just roll up and start knocking on your door without you doing anything. So, you know, take the initiative, build your brand. If you really want to grow in this space, this is how you do it. You see it on the professional angler side, you know, in the big bass boat guys, they're all doing YouTube stuff. Like, none of these guys that ever cared anything about it before, you see them, you know, consistently putting out YouTube videos, going live on their Instagram story. This is little stuff that you can do but that's how you build your following. And the bigger base that you have, the more you're worth. So get out there, grab some cameras, and learn. Reach out to me if you have any questions, if I can possibly help with anything, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the water.